Hi, Skip here. For those who know me, I'm coming from my little workstation here where all my computers is where all the magic happens. But I wanted to touch bases on a subject. You know, a lot of people get in business and they start to make some money, and there's challenges along the way. And one of the challenges is, what do you do with the money when you bring it in? And of course, you know, there's just this balance between, you know, what you use for yourself, what you use to promote your business and keep things going. There's responsibilities you have to recognize with the money that comes in. And there's a formula, and it's really a blueprint for building wealth. And you'll find that those who are really successful, I mean big money successful, that they have established very early on, they've established a pattern. And it's a pattern of how they manage the money once it comes in. And this is a blueprint that you know, all of us would do well by learning from it and really following it. So what this video is about, it's an outline of the blueprint. And I do have, following this, I have a very complete training. It's free, it's in depth, and it's actually done by my own mentor in the business, if I told you what he makes, you wouldn't believe me. But he's been doing this for a long time, and he's established a pattern with it. And he's brought so many people into wealth and understanding how to manage money, how to make it really work for them. So I'm going to go over this, and this is really a review of the concept. And like I say, there is a much deeper training, and I'm going to put that link on this following this video, so you can see it in depth. But I want to introduce it to you. Some of you may be already doing something along the lines here, but I want to touch on this. And so the first thing in this, and you got to recognize, we're in a country where we have taxes. You know, taxes are one of those things. It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to pay taxes. Depending on where you're at, you're going to pay less or more than some. You know, the more you make, the more you pay, and all that kind of thing. It's really important to keep track of it. And since you're in business for yourself, sometimes it's hard when you get to the end of the year, if you haven't managed things correctly, that all of a sudden you find yourself behind and struggling to cover the tax debt and all that kind of thing. It's much easier if you, as you go along, that you actually set it aside. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that you send it all in as you get it towards your taxes. But there's nothing wrong with saving it and setting it aside. Let it build interest on its own. But taxes are really a big issue. And I'm going to, when I go through the list here, I'm going to give you a breakdown of the percentages of each one, so you have a better idea of how it all works together. Okay? But the first thing you have to consider is taxes. It's one of the first things you want to set aside. Totally, you're going to set aside 5 different accounts. You're going to have one main account where the money comes in, all your income comes into one account, and then you distribute it amongst these other 5 accounts. Okay? So the first one of them, of course, is taxes. The next one is under the label of wealth. Investments are really important, and with the stock market doing what it's doing, it's up and down, it's all over, and we got a crazy culture going on, and no one really knows what's going to happen. We've had a tremendous, overall, the stock market has been an amazing place, and it has grown wildly, and a lot of people making money on it. But as true as that might be, you never know in terms of stabilization long term where it's going to be. So one of the things you need to do is invest. And one of the suggestions that some of the experts will tell you is silver and gold. They're some of the best investments you can make. It's always been a baseline value, even though we no longer operate by what we used to call the gold standard. You don't hear that much anymore because Fort Knox is empty. We're not really going by that standard anymore, but the investment in real gold and real silver is a steady, reliable, long-term investment. That's one of the recommendations that's made. The other one is charity. Charity can come in a lot of forms. It's important that you set aside a certain amount of money for charity. Charity is kind of like a law. If you put together a consistent amount of charity, there's a return on that. It's like a spiritual law, however you want to refer to it. There's a law in what you set aside and what will come back to you over time. It just is true, and anybody who's been doing this long term has tremendous stories to tell you about the results that they received just for having had a giving attitude. And you'll find that the real successful organizations are also involved in giving in various forms. It can be your church, that's the tithe. It can be neighborhood projects. It could be any number of things that you can find that are good, positive investments to make as far as giving is concerned. It's an important component. The other one is general fund. General fund is the operating expenses for your for living. I mean, it might be your home expenses, the house payment, the rent, whatever that is, food, car, insurance, all those other things comes out of the under the heading of general fund that you operate with. And then the fifth one is the operating expenses relative to your business. Now, in a second, I'm going to put out the percentages here, but you've got to set aside a fixed amount for your business that you're going to use to turn and scale your business. Not just to maintain, but you always want to be thinking in terms of scaling your business. So let's take it, and we're going to break it down a little bit here so you can see what the breakdown on each category might be. And you might want to take notes on this, because really this is, whatever these percentages are going to sound like, they are a baseline formula, a blueprint for wealth that really works. So when we go back, let's start with taxes. Taxes, you should set aside about 40%. Now, your taxes are probably not necessarily going to run as much as 40%. By the time you file them, you'll have some special deductions and various things, and you'll work all that out. But it's a good thing to cover your bases and make sure you have that reserve so that in the event of the unknown or whatever, you've got money set aside that is your money, but that money that is set aside for the purpose of paying your taxes and never having a problem with that or getting behind. So many nightmare stories about people how to get behind because they didn't manage their money, and all of a sudden they're in trouble with the IRS, and the whole world just hurts. Good thing to put down in your taxes, a 40% rule. The other one on wealth, 10% of your income should go towards the wealth. That's an investment. That's whether that's silver, gold, whatever you choose as an investment. You should be setting aside 10% per month. Out of all of your income, it all comes in, and you got the 5 accounts, so 10% is going to be built off the wealth category. Charity, another 10%. Again, that can be the standard church giving. That can be whatever you want it to be. It's amazing how many times people come back with stories about what happened in their giving. So 10% is really important. And if you do that, that's an important baseline to hang on to. Another one, of course, then there's the general fund. The general fund, you should have enough income to live off of 20% of what's coming in. And everything else goes to these other categories. 20%, so you will cover your rent, your food, your car, all your basic living expenses, the entertainment, all of it. That should be 20% of your budget. And then operating costs, that's toward your business. Very important here. If you're of the mentality, if you had brick and mortar businesses or conventional businesses, most businesses operate on about an 8 to 10% margin for marketing. But I'm going to tell you, and it has to be about that, because there's so many other expenses with a conventional brick and mortar business that it's hard to have much higher percentage than that. But if you really want to scale your business, I recommend 20%. If you have 20% that you set aside for the operational costs of your business, where your marketing, your campaigns, and all that you're doing, that's where you start to scale the business and keep reinvesting it. And you'll find that the majority of those who are really big in online marketing, affiliate marketing, network marketing, whatever the platform, you'll notice that they put a fair amount every month. They don't talk about it a lot. They talk about how much money they come in, but they're putting out 20% and some of them more than that in maintaining and scaling their business. And I'll tell you what, you don't mind doing that when you're putting out say a couple $1,000s, you're getting back $8,000 or $10,000 out of a campaign or much more. Which is absolutely possible. It's amazing how you can scale a business over time and keep building it. And that's the idea. You want to scale your business. So having shared that with you, I want to just close this particular video with letting you know that there's this link down here. Go to my website. I got tons of information on my website. My whole goal is to help you with a framework that's going to lead to your entrepreneurial success. There's so much training available, step-by-step individual training. It doesn't matter who you are, if you've got a drive, if you're ambitious, if you really want to do something, you really want to make your mark, There's ways you can do it. Are you going to be frustrated at times? Sure. Business is not always easy. People that have this thing that they tell you, oh, it's easy, click here, click there, you're going to make all this money. The majority of those people are not making any money in the first place, and not very many people that follow them are making any money. The idea is not necessarily about how much money, but about quality of life. And if you really want that quality of life, hang in there with a rugged determination. I use the term dog on a bone so often because sometimes when I feel like I get a hold of something and I want to make it work. So there's so much here for you, and so I invite you to go to my website. If I can get to know you, it's great, and I can coach you along. I've been in business for a very long time. This is one of my favorite things. It's a passion of mine. When I'm doing this, I do what I love. And what I really love is to watch the results when somebody succeeds. Somebody starts hitting the numbers and feels good about it. And if you know at the end of the day that you made a difference, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. And I want that for you. I want you. I'm talking to you. I want you to know that feeling, to know that you've made a difference. You're living a life where you have choice, and things are working out for you. So I just offer this simple blueprint. Like I said, I'll put a link down here to an extensive training that I got initially from my my mentor, who is a online marketing genius. And you'll get to know Vic a little bit. He's powerful. And I got tons of his training and videos in my website as well. So lots of stuff for you. So thank you for taking a few minutes and checking in. And check on that tab. And I hope to see you again soon. Thank you. God bless.